Today, we're sitting down with a true powerhouse in the natural hair industry, Essence Farmer. At just 23 years old, Essence took on the Arizona State Board of Cosmetology in a legal battle that changed the game for natural hair stylists. She fought against outdated regulations that excluded natural hair care from traditional cosmetology standards and won. Her victory not only opened doors for her own business, Rare Essence Studio, but set a precedent that empowered countless stylists to follow their dreams without unnecessary barriers. Essence didn't stop there. She's the founder of Rare Essence Academy, where she's redefining education in natural hair care, teaching braiding, locking, and twisting techniques, and equipping stylists with the tools they need to thrive. Her work has been featured in Essence magazine and even recognized by the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Essence Farmer is a visionary, a trailblazer, and an advocate for empowerment, and her story is nothing short of extraordinary. Welcome to the Hair What I'm Saying podcast. I'm your host, Kenitra Stewart, and today we're in Phoenix, Arizona with the amazing Essence Farmer. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm amazing. Thank you.
Yes, you are amazing. That you are. This extensive background of you being this powerhouse. And at such a young age, like I am honored to have you on the show.
Wow. No, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Can you share a bit about your background and what first inspired your passion for natural hair care?
I think what inspired me was just going to get our hair done. Me and my sister, we would go and get our hair done. And that braider would be braiding forever. And I guess I just was observant. I didn't realize I was inspired at the moment, but I would go home and I would be braiding hair and just like feeling it. And over time, my younger brother, he grew his hair out because crisscross was the thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I want my hair like that. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So I just really started braiding and I just developed a love for it. And it really just took off from there, just playing with my brother's hair.
How old were you?
Oh, my goodness. 12.
12?
Yeah, 12,
Okay.
13. Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, did you feel like this is something I want to do, you know, as a career, or you just was
Absolutely
playing
not.
around? Yeah, you was just playing around.
Well, I mean, I never seen it as a career path because I don't think that it was really validated in society and culture. Even now, I think a lot of people feel like I need to go get a real job until they realize that there is great opportunity in it. And so, no, it was always a hustle for me, to be honest with you. It's just like, oh, this is something I could do with my hands until I get a real job.
Did you have other dreams or aspirations outside of that? Even though at the age of 12, that's pretty young, but did you say like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer? You know, the typical stuff we learn in school.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I got further into high school, I thought I wanted to be a neonatologist. I wanted to go in the medical field.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is a remarkable career.
Yeah.
So what sparked that? I know that's off the topic, but I'm just
good.
curious. I just like to know, if we started off with hair, I just want to dabble a little deeper, like beyond, you know, what we thought we were going to be.
Yeah, well, I definitely thought it was going to be medical. My mother was an RN, and so seeing that influence in the house, I always was like interested in like caring for people in a particular way. I love babies, and so I was like, okay, neonatologist sounds good.
Yeah. I had a client who was one, and she never even told me either. Her mom told me. I was like, why you didn't tell me this? Like, this is a huge career, you know, a very critical career as well, like emotionally, all of that. And I was like, and you never told me that. We don't talk about your job. And you know how it is behind the chair with the clients. They tell us everything.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell me that at all. So I was like, you are extremely humble.
Right.
How did you get started in the hair industry, and what led you to specialize in braiding and natural styles? Like once, you know, at that time with your brother, you mentioned I was just doing something, it was just a hustle. But at what point did you decide, like, this is what I'm going to do?
Honestly, it was a journey. Like everything kind of just unfolded in time, right?
Okay.
So I went from braiding my brother's hair to my mother's friend saying, hey, I seen that your daughter's braiding, you know, Elliot's hair, so can she do my son's hair? And that was a challenge for me because he was biracial. And so that texture is different to grip. And so it brought on a challenge to where I'm like, okay, I got to get this. Mm-hmm. And so I got more determination over time. And after that, she paid me And I just
That was it.
Was like, okay, first this was just a hobby.
All you gotta do is make the money. Make that first dollar. You're like, oh, I can make some money off of this.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when it really started to like click, but it still wasn't something I decided to do until much later. But I pretty much like started doing hair out of my parents' laundry room, and that became my salon. And I had high school friends coming and getting their hair done.
So you were in high school during this time?
Oh, this is all high school. Yep.
Okay.
So I had a full-on clientele. Like, my laundry room was set up like a salon suite. And we talking the 90s, right?
Oh, my goodness.
So it was a real thing. Like, I literally have a YouTube video that really shows, because my brother was recording this. And so I have, like, content.
What? Your brother recorded this video?
Yes.
That's
it's
so
crazy.
Amazing.
So, yeah, it took time. I ended up moving to Maryland. And when I moved to Maryland, I left all of my clientele. I was 20 years old at the time. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm about to go to school for real, figure out what my career path is going to be. And when I moved to Maryland, I literally thought I wasn't going to touch hair anymore until I'm like, why am I not using this gift when I could be making some side money while I'm out here? Like, just because I upped and left my clientele doesn't mean that I need to stop.
Right.
And so I was still just doing it on the side, and I went to school. As I was telling you earlier, I went to Hampton University for a semester.
Yes.
And while I was down there, I just miny, mowed a major.
Did you?
Because I was just like,
I don't know why I'm here.
Why am I here?
I understand that. I relate to that.
No
yes.
why, no purpose. And I had already went to community college for a few years, and I had all these credits. And so I'm like, okay, where can all these credits go the soonest and quickest that I can graduate? And so I was like, air traffic controlling. They make $90,000 a year.
So that's what you decided to do?
Yeah. So I'm down at Hampton University. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make all my credits go to this path. So I'm going to get these classes that go towards this. At the end of the semester, I was like, okay, I done got a loan, and this is my first loan I've ever got in my life. Oh, and my father programmed in our mind, like, if we can't pay cash for it, we can't afford it. Therefore, any type of credit is not good, right? And so because of that, I'm like, I know this is for my education, but I don't feel right getting a loan. And then probably because I knew I wasn't aligned, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
And so after that semester, I just was like, this ain't it. Like, I got to figure out what I want to do and put my energy and effort into that. And so then I fell back to doing hair. Okay. So I moved back to Maryland, and I'm doing hair full time. And I still didn't know if this was what I was going to do for forever. I have an encounter with God. Literally shifted my whole life. Told me to go back to Arizona. I moved back out here after 3 years of being away. Yeah. And this is where it really got serious. What ended up happening was I'm in the house with my mother now. And she's like, what are you going to do with your life?
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm literally following instructions right now.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
But she's really just trying to make sure that I get my footing. Like, you're back in my house. You know, I know you done left the house one time, but when you leave again, you better have your stuff together. Right. And so she's a nurse. And so that was kind of where I'm like, okay, well, I'll continue going down this path. So she was like, okay, let's go and get you enrolled into LPN, RN, something to get you started. In the meantime, I'm hearing instructions divinely. Yes. And I'm hearing, call the state board. So I called the state board of cosmetology. Okay. And when I called them, I'm pretty much telling them my history. Like, I've been doing natural hair for X amount of years.
Like, what, 10 at this time?
Yeah, it was a good amount of time. And I was like, what do I need to do in order to be legal in the state of Arizona to do hair? Because at this time now, I'm like, I know I want to rebuild my clientele, and I don't want to be relegated to braiding hair out of my parents' home or in my apartment. Like, I want to be official. And they essentially told me, you have to have a license in order to do any type of hair. And I found an issue with it because I felt like you guys are not teaching nor enhancing what I already know.
That's right. Nowhere. Especially at this time, nowhere.
You're teaching me everything that I'm not going to do. Now, I know that there's a big rift in the industry with this conversation because it's just like, if you're going to be doing hair, you need to know how to do it proper. There's sanitation. There's all of these things. And I'm all for that. Right. Right. But I was not for me going to school for a year and a half, paying $10,000+ to go through all of this training when that sanitation part, if they would have had a limited licensing for me, I would have been all for it. And so
it was going to take you a week for sanitation. Like,
Right.
get out of here. If that, you can get
Right.
that done in one day.
So all of that was just like going against all of the core of who I am. So I got off the phone. I'm like, they said I got to go to school, you know, in order for this to happen. So I'm calculating in my mind how long this is going to take me and going through this whole process. So I end up saying, all right, God, now what?
Right.
And he was like, look for a law firm.
Oh my gosh. At the age of 23.
I was 23. And I'm hearing these divine instructions. Listen, I'm trying to tell people, like, this was not of my idea, okay?
Gotcha.
Now, being in Maryland, you didn't have to have a license out there. So the seed was planted that if it's different in Maryland, it can be different in Arizona. I don't know how, but being there showed me the difference. And so looking for a law firm, I'm like, all right, well, at least I could do is try.
Right.
Right? So I'm AOLing because, you know, this dial-up speed back in the
Oh,
day, right?
my girl.
This is not high speed.
The patience you had. Oh, my gosh. You know, girl, I forgot all about AOL, dialing up, listening to the little tone in the background. Oh, dear God. Making sure nobody's on the phone. Because, you know, you couldn't be on the phone, too. You know, using dial-up. Yeah. Okay, come on, girl. Keep on going.
So I find a few law firms, I call them, and by like the third law firm that I came across, they were like, we'll meet with you. And I'm like, really? Because I pretty much told them, like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I think is unfair. And this guy came to my house and sat with me and listened to my story. And something in that moment let me know there's something there.
Yeah.
Right?
Because he wouldn't waste his time.
Come to find out, this is the Institute for Justice, right? This is the organization.
You didn't know at that time.
I didn't know.
You was just calling law firms.
Any, mini, miny, mowing.
Yo, any, mini, money, mo works.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, come to find out, they had just opened an office here in Phoenix within months of me contacting them. Secondly, they had set the precedence in another state. They had already fought and won.
Oh my goodness.
This type of case.
So they were ready.
So that's why he was like, come to your house, like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we meet, and by December 8th, I had moved back in August. By December 8th, we had filed Essence Pharma versus the State Board of Cosmetology.
Oh my gosh. Like, even hearing that, I'm like, gosh, that sounds so, it's just such a power move of like all the good rebellion, you know, and just paving the way for all the future women that want to be like you. Were you thinking about that at that time? Like, I'm about to like create history. Were you thinking
Not in the least.
Yeah.
No, I literally was thinking, I just want to do hair. And I don't know why this law is such, but I don't think it's fair. And if something can be done, cool. But I'm following instructions. I'm not seeing all of the things that can come after that. I'm just in the moment. And not only am I just in the moment, it is like a firestorm of, I'm on the cover of the Arizona Republic business section. I'm on the cover of the Glendale section. A news team from DC comes, like a nationwide, you know what I mean, channel comes to interview me in my apartment.
Were you ready?
No, because I didn't even, I'm like, I'm literally just trying to braid hair.
Yeah.
I don't even understand how big this is. I'm just like, so it was crazy.
Oh my goodness. So whenever these news reporters start reaching out to you and come to you to talk to you about your story, could you just easily tell it? You know, or you was just like, Mom, I don't know what I got myself into. Like, I know it's a good thing, but I can't handle the overwhelming. Like, could you?
I'm a real calm person.
Okay.
When it comes to stuff like that. So I'm just going to answer your questions because I think it's ridiculous, you know.
Oh, my goodness.
And so, yeah, they would ask me questions, and that was what happened. So what happened was Janet Napolitano, who was the governor at the time, because it was so much publicity, she heard about it and thought it was crazy and was just like, okay, I'm going to sign off and I'm going to amend the law. We never went to court.
Oh, my goodness.
So we're talking about from December to about April-ish is when this, you know, it was multiple news interviews that I had and articles that I had. And so it was big.
Yes.
And she essentially signed off that this exempted all braiders, locticians, natural hairstylists in the state of Arizona from having to obtain like a cosmetology license in order to service clients.
That's right.
And so it was crazy because at that moment, that's when I realized, like, okay, I keep trying to like run away from hair, but clearly if I done changed the law,
yeah, it's for you.
It chose me.
It did.
Yeah.
Because when I think about me as a kid, I always wanted to do hair. It didn't choose me. I chose it. So it's like everything was just reeling you back in. Like, get over here. Like, we need you to make this change. Like, we need to see you do this for us. Yeah. And maybe God just knew you were the person that was just going to stick with it, be disciplined, stay focused, and make sure it get done.
Yeah.
You know, girl, such a great story.
And all this time, I went to nursing school. So I didn't.
Oh my gosh. So you were in nursing school while you were fighting?
While all this is going on, I'm still in my mom's house and she sees it, but she don't see it, if that makes sense.
Right. So what you mean? She see what you're doing, but she is not actively like.
She doesn't see the vision or the future of it. She's just like, okay, my daughter's fighting this law. Like, it's all like crazy to her.
Oh my God. So in what way crazy? Like, explain what you mean. Like, did she feel like you doing a lot?
I think she still was like, okay, I see that you're doing this, but I don't see the end of this thing. But I know that nursing is secure. Gotcha. I know that this is a job that you can have for the rest of your life because it was secure for her.
Right.
And so while I'm fighting this law, she still didn't see what could happen after that. Nor did I, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because it kept coming back, I know that's what I was supposed to do, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so my lawyer during the course of this time was like, well, what's your salon gonna be named? And I'm like, bruh.
I ain't thought about nothing. I'm just trying to get this one little thing.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
So I finally come up with the name for the salon, and he now wants to get me incorporated. I'm like, so it was like God was using him to usher this along.
Oh my God.
So he brings me the paperwork. I'll go ahead and incorporate the name during this whole time, still in nursing school.
Are you thinking in that moment, am I about to let this go, or am I just going to coast this through and just see how far we go with it, but still keep this nursing for the stability and the security?
I think it was multiple things. I think that I was happy that I almost could hide behind the barrier of this law not being passed. Yeah. Because then it was going to require me to step out on faith. And so there was a lot of fear with opening a business and really just like having freedom to do what I truly wanted to do, because there was still a lot of mental blocks of I'm too young. I've never been in business before. And so there was a part of me that wanted to hold on to some of that stability of I can do this. But what ended up happening was I finished nursing school. But while I'm in nursing school, I'm rebuilding my clientele because I have my apartment now. Because when I got back home, my mother was like, not only did she not see it, she told me that I couldn't do hair out of the house anymore.
Oh, okay.
So she was just like, listen.
You got to figure that out.
That was when you was a teenager.
Yeah.
So I get my apartment. I'm going to school from 8 to 2, nursing school. Come home and I would braid in my apartment because I got a 1-bedroom with a den. And I set it up like a salon. Yeah. And I would braid from like 3 till about 9, 10 o'clock. And then I would go to my night job. I worked at a group home, but I was sleeping, I'm going to be honest.
Oh my gosh. Thank God you had the graveyard shift.
Okay. And I would work there. I would wake up at 6 a.m., clock out, and then I would go do it all over again. So I did that for a year.
So what about nursing at this time? You just kind of let it go? There was no nursing?
This is nursing school that I was in.
So that group home, that was like, that was the school?
No. So I went to school from 8 to 2 in the morning.
And then braid from 3 to 9 to 10. And then go to your graveyard shift?
Yes. And then as soon as I got off, go home, shower, get ready, go to school. I did that for a year. So by the time I graduated nursing school.
So you graduated?
I graduated nursing school.
Girl, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that because I'm like, you were doing so much. Yeah. You know, and I don't know how you like balance all that, even mentally, you know? Yeah. And nursing school is not easy.
But I had to finish what I started, right? So this was an LPN program. Okay. So I finished, I get my license. my clientele is popping at this point. I end up quitting my night job, and now I'm applying to be a nurse.
Yes.
So I started working as a nurse, and I worked for 4 months. I was at a lockdown facility for youth, and I'm passing meds, and it's depressing, and I don't feel aligned, and I'm just like, this is not it. Mm-hmm. I'm going home, and I'm braiding. My clients are like, when you go open your salon? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, get out of my business.
Right, because you so set on, the nursing program.
Well, I'm set on that, but I'm also, I don't know how to open a salon.
Yeah.
You asking me about stuff, I don't even know how I'm going to do it.
Right.
And so those things were happening. Clients saying little things, and I'm just like, okay, this is continuing to tell me. So one day I just decided to quit my nursing job because I'm like, worst come to worst, I can always come back to this job.
You can.
But I got all of my time. I don't have to go to nursing school no more.
Yeah.
And I can full-fledged build my clientele out, and then we can see. And so what ended up happening was my father was an entrepreneur. So he's
one. Wow. So this was, for him, did he see the vision?
Oh, did he see it?
Oh, that's such a blessing.
Beyond. My father told me I would have a school before I had a salon. And my father was speaking life into me as a teenager. When he seen I save $6,000.
Shout out to your father. Oh my, the support is so needed whenever you are taking, like, entrepreneurship back then, it's super risky.
Yeah.
Because there's not, especially with Black people, it's just not a lot of generational entrepreneurs in our bloodline.
Yeah.
And so I'm just glad you had that support, that motivation, that kind of kept you on that path somewhere, But also with your mom helping you get stability. So if this don't work out, I could just go back to nursing. It's okay. Yeah. So I just love the planning of all of this, even though it was kind of like a little unorthodox, but it had, it worked out, Yeah. So tell me about your dad.
Oh, yeah. No, my father, when I saved $6,000, I might have been like 17. He was like, where you get all this money from? I'm like, Daddy, what are you talking about? You told me to go up on my prices. Like, when I was charging $5 and $10, he was just like, no. I mean, it was the 90s. And I was a teenager. And I didn't know. I didn't know what I had, right? He was like, you need to go up on your prices. Mm-hmm. And I was so fearful at the time because I'm just like, my clients can't afford this. And I'm counting their money, right?
Yeah.
And so when I went up on my prices and I saved this money and my father seen it, he really started to see, like, you
got to do this.
This is it right here. Oh, it's in your hands.
I love that.
So he was always speaking life and bringing that balance in where I'm trying to run off and go do something else. He's just trying to help me see it. And so I quit my nursing job.
What's your mom say?
She didn't really say nothing.
Okay, good.
I think she's seen that I was rebuilding my clientele. And so she just was like, well, you out of my house now too. You know what I mean?
Like, we just got to get that main part out. Long as you out of here and you doing something.
For sure. Yeah. So she didn't really have much to say. But my father, I was frustrated one day because I was driving down the street and I see a braid salon open. And it bothered me because people are moving out on the thing that I initiated, but I'm still braiding hair out of my apartment.
Absolutely. That's valid.
And so I'm not mad at them, but I'm just like, what am I doing?
Maybe mad at yourself a little.
That's what made it real. It was just like, girl, you changed the law. This is not for you to be braiding hair out of your apartment. Like, take the next step. Mm-hmm. So I told my father, and he was like, well, just go look for a building.
Oh my God. He's just so supportive, like,
and he made it so simple. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you're tripping about the next step. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Go look for a building. It don't cost no money. It just takes some time just to go look and call a number and ask some questions. Because what happens is I feel that we talk ourselves out of things just because we don't have the intel. We don't have the information. Mm-hmm. You don't even know.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what really, when I realized, like, oh, I've chosen this. It was the law got passed. Mm-hmm. And then I knew I wasn't aligned with what I was doing. And I just knew that I had to take these steps. But by this time, I'm already incorporated.
Yeah, because of that lawyer helping you out. Yeah. Dang, it's just like the story. Like you think people are planning all of this. I didn't expect for your story to be like, no, my brother was my first client, and I was just doing something. I was like, this girl was born to do all of this. And you were, but I'm just saying, I was thinking like you knew that at that time.
No.
Oh my gosh. Such a great story.
Sorry if I threw you off in your question.
No, this is good. I am enjoying this. Like, I am intrigued. I am interested. This is just, man, it's just, I don't know. I know I'm a little rebellious when it comes to things that I want that I think are fair, but I just don't know if I could have done it at 23. Like, maybe later in life once I had the confidence. And also the experience. You had the practical experience, but not like the business management experience.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you knew anything about the law back then. You know, so I just wondered, like, could I have done something like that at my little age of 23? Like, what was I doing at 23? I'm like, I don't think I could have done it. So it's also the age and also the resilience and just not backing down. Like, no matter who was just like,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? You're doing too much. It's not even that deep. Just go to school and do the hours and move on, you know, because usually that's what most would do. Like, I just need to get this license. Yeah. And you see it all the time. You know, I've interviewed a braider who did it, and then like a month later they got rid of the law. And I was like, sheesh. I'd be like, I was like, did they offer your money back? She was like, no. She was like, but they gave me my money back for state board for going down there to take the state board test. I was like, what, $25?
Yeah, right. They can keep that.
Right. I just.
Yeah. I mean, there was fearlessness, but there was also like youthful ignorance too, if that makes sense. It was like, I'm a rebellious person. Like, I like to push because I'm like, this is not fair. And I feel like there's something that can be done about it. I think that's just ingrained in me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't have necessarily the fullness of courage to step out and begin to do this, because when it came to me opening a storefront, I was very comfortable at home. I know how to pay my rent at home. Yeah. You know, I have clientele. But to move from that step of my apartment to a storefront was a very major hurdle for me.
Absolutely.
And that took a great deal of courage, but also the support, right? My father and my mother.
Absolutely, for sure. Your photo went viral and became a defining moment in the braiding world. My clients were asking me, way before I even knew you, they were asking me to create that inspiration. Yeah. Walk us through the journey of that inspiration behind that photo. Like, was that a vision already created, or you was just freestyling? And did you even know the impact it would have later?
Yeah. Well, much like my story, it was a freestyle. I'm a free person.
My goodness.
I just flow. So the Biggie Smalls was just a concept, or just a particular type of braiding technique that I like to do. And so that's pretty much what she had along the sides of her hair, were the big and small, the contrast of the big and small braids. And it was just like, okay, this is a cute style. This was my first photo shoot. I had never done like a professional photo shoot before. I had worked with a photographer out of New York. And so when he came to Phoenix and we're doing this shoot, I originally had her hair styled differently. It was like more of a French roll type of look.
Gotcha. And a natural updo French roll type? Okay.
Yeah, so it was all braided, same style, braided on the sides, everything, but the middle section
the mohawk area
was different.
Okay, gotcha.
And so he took the pictures, and I'm thinking we're done. He was like, oh, okay, switch it up. I'm like, switch it up? There's nothing I can switch up, sir.
Yes.
So I literally had to go in my mind to say, okay, how can I make this different without taking more than 10 minutes? You know? And so I took
that took less than 10 minutes, that mohawk?
15 minutes, just that section in the middle. Yeah. So
it was so neat. You know, it just looked like you took your time and you put effort into it.
It was on the fly.
Oh, my goodness.
No lie. It was literally on the fly. Because I'm like, I don't know. One, I'm paying him for his time. Right? He ain't going to be here all day. And he don't even live in Arizona. So we got to be on time.
Yes.
So when I took it out, I'm literally like, okay, it's hanging down in the middle. What am I going to do? There's nothing much I felt like I could do other than like do the rolls. So I just did the rolls. He took the pictures. Never in a million years that I think it would be what it became. Oh my God. Because I wasn't even trying to photograph that. I didn't even know that was going to be the it picture.
Everything is happening for you. Like, I'm just being me and doing me. And for some reason, it's working well. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe that. I thought that was well planned out too. I was like, this girl, like, I need to get on my planning. Like, she making me feel like I am, like, not doing it right. And I'm learning your story. And I'm like, this is great. Like, I'm glad to hear it flowing in this way because I feel like a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we are figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
The good thing is you
Absolutely.
did have your dad, you know, to kind of create the foundation for you, you know, but we are figuring a lot of things out as we go. Like, we're learning on the journey, you know. So that's why I was like, this girl, she need to be teaching how to do it, not just practically, but also in a mindset way too, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the mindset is really just believing in yourself.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and going that path of least resistance. Like I said, hair chose me, so I'm just being drawn this way. So I'm like, all right, cool. And every time I do something, it's working out. So I just keep moving forward.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. What was it like seeing your work inspire stylists and spark trends across the natural hair industry?
It was a mixed feeling. Initially, it was mixed because viral was not a thing for real. Well, you thinking like Instagram had just started.
Yeah, you went viral before we knew viral was viral.
Exactly. So there's mixed feelings. It's like, oh, okay, this hairstyle is clearly dope. Other people like it. But now it's proliferating without my signature and or the acknowledgement of who did it.
I couldn't place it nowhere. It was just like bam, and it was like, who in the world done this?
Right.
It was like no credentials. Like, it was hard to find it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now when it was published in Essence, I did get the, you know, what do you call it?
Like the credits,
And all that. Yeah,
recognition.
thank you. Yeah, so I did get the recognition there, but that was the only place. But when it hit the internet, there's no watermark, there's no logo, there's not me smiling next to her or anything like that.
Even
so
a photographer too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm tight, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
like, dang, not only because it was on social media, but it's on flyers, it's on business
It was
cards, it's on billboards,
everywhere.
it's in other countries.
It was literally everywhere. I mean, you couldn't go especially if you are a black natural hairstylist, you couldn't go nowhere without seeing that photo. And people were marketing that style like it was their work.
As if it was theirs.
They were, yeah.
To the point where the model herself was in Paris, seeing it on in the front of a salon.
This girl went global. Wait a minute. You went global. Oh, my gosh.
She goes into the
Oh my
salon
gosh.
and they telling her that they did it. And she's like, I'm the model.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
my friend is the one who did it. Yeah,
Stop.
It was crazy. People were really taking credit. If they could get away
So
with
when
it.
she told them she was a model, what did they say?
They probably just looked at her like, okay. I mean, I don't remember the whole reaction, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd have been like, look at my side.
Yeah,
Look at all of this. That's me up there.
Check his profile.
Yes, yeah, for real.
Yep.
Girl, I'm just learning so much about you. I'm like, golly, it's like sitting in front of Michelle Obama of black natural hairstylists. And for you, I bet you don't even feel that way. But
Absolutely not.
But everyone on the outside looking in, as a black natural hairstylist, I'm telling you, that's what you are, for real. I was like, when Tyler told me about you, I was like, I hope to God this girl is available. I want people to know her on my platform too. So being featured in Essence magazine is such a huge accomplishment. Can you tell us how that opportunity came about?
Yeah, so when I initially did the photo shoot, it was to get published. But it was to get published in like Black Hair Sophisticates.
Because, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a hair magazine. You
Yep.
submit your photos to get published. Whereas Essence, you don't just submit your photos to get published. It don't happen like that.
It's not even a hair magazine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the photographer is in New York, and this is what he does. He shops his images. I don't know exactly what happened. All I know is that months later, he hits me up. He was like, hey, Essence picked your work up. And I'm like, okay. He said it so casually. I'm just like, I don't even know what that means, but okay, cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then I had a friend hit me up, and they're like, girl, did you see this Essence issue? And I'm like, no. She was like, you are all in that magazine. I'm like, what? Not only was my hairstyle in there, because it was a whole column, but I was actually, because I was one of the models, just because, we had a whole lot of pictures.
You were in there.
I was in there. The salon was mentioned, all of that, right up it. And it was next to one of my mentor salons. I'm not sure if you know who Anu Prestoni is, of Kamet Kinks in New York. And I'm just like, the honor to be next to that legacy was just mind-blowing to me. So I was just like, okay,
Did you start feeling like this is a big deal? Like,
no, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I was
Definitely.
going to say, when did that start resonating with you? Like, you are making extreme movements.
Yeah.
You know, at that time, I'm like, did it finally sit in? Like, dang, like, I'm doing a lot and I'm doing some great things here.
Yeah, it definitely hit, but it still was just like, when you're you, it's hard to really see it as other people see it too, because it's like you're you know.
Yeah.
But when it hit, not only did it hit that July issue that year, then they did a hot hair issue in October of that year, and my hairstyle was on the cover of that Essence magazine, as well as there were more features in there. And I'm like, I don't even know what is going on, but I'm grateful.
Oh, what was at this time? How was your mom feeling? I know your dad was proud because he's an entrepreneur, and you can relate to him here with that. But what about your mom? Like,
she's the proudest in the world.
Yeah,
like,
right. Because that's how it usually be, right? The ones that's all resistant about it at first, they end up being the most happiest in the end, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because your dad could see the vision, you know. But for her, it's like it took some seeing to like really believe, like, no, this is a big thing. This is a big deal, you know?
Yeah. This is like 5 or 6 years into me owning the salon. So this wasn't like right after, you know, but now it's like she done changed the law. She done opened a salon. She's successful. Now she in Essence magazine. You can't not see that, you know?
What about your brother?
My brother was in Korea. Like, he was like there, but he just like he's so far away.
Yeah.
But he was proud.
He was proud, yeah. Especially when you being his first client. So I'm like, how did your brother feel about it? You know?
He like, just make sure you tell my part of the story, because if it wasn't for me being a guinea pig.
Wait a minute. Don't you forget about the little people. Oh my gosh. I love that. So did you have a message that you wanted to convey to Essence magazine, or you was just like, I want to get published? You know, or was there like a message that you wanted to send out there to people who would be inspired by your work?
Ask me that one more time. I want to make sure I understand it.
So I guess, you know, like whenever I know like the photo shoot and everything that happened, it was like spontaneous. Everything was spontaneous. So sometimes some people will create these intricate hairstyles to like, I guess, transcribe like what they're feeling, like some emotion that was attached to it. Like, were you trying to create a message out there for, you know, women like us that are in the black natural hair community as hairstylists and professionals?
That particular hairstyle itself. I just honestly thought it was elegant. I thought it was royal.
Yeah.
You know, when I think of Rare Essence, or the name of my company, like, it literally has to do with the word essence. Speaks to the core, the intrinsic nature of something, that if it didn't have that thing, it would not be what it is, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And so when I think about natural hair, and I think about us wearing it authentically and naturally as it is, and then also with the intentionality of these hairstyles, it's art, it's self-appreciation, it's all of those things, acceptance. And so for me, anything that I do, I'm going to put my all into it, because I see it as a canvas, right?
Absolutely.
And so just to be able to express yourself in the fullness. Yeah.
Yeah, you did that. So we covered about the Arizona State Board of Cosmetology, but one question I do want to ask you is, had the verdict taken a different turn, were you prepared to continue advocating for what was necessary for your claim to be heard?
I think I would have continued to follow my instructions, because I was only moving based off the instructions, if that makes sense. And yeah, I don't know where I would be, but I know I would have continued to move forward in whatever I needed to do.
Yeah, 10 toes down on their neck, because it didn't make sense. You know, you go through that entire program. That's a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, and you weren't going to learn anything.
Yeah. Now, if you were asking me would I have went to school, no.
No, I don't think. I didn't need to ask you that. I know you, like, just learning you. I didn't even need to ask you that question. I know you wouldn't have went to school, because it's a very logical reason to not go. Right. You know, so I didn't need to ask you that. Just learning who you are, I could tell, like, that personality would have been like, I ain't doing it.
I'm not doing it.
I ain't doing it. You know, so I didn't need to ask you that. Right. Your iconic braids photo was featured in the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Such an incredible honor. What did that moment mean to you? And how does it feel to know your work is all these different, you know, people in and out of that museum every day. Like, they get a piece of you. Like, girl, come on, tell me, how does that feel?
Well, I had to see it to really feel it.
Okay,
I
yeah.
seen it, I knew about it. I was aware of it, but it took for me to go to DC and actually see it and see my hairstyle and all of that. I just was blown away. It's the cover of the Essence, the Hot Hair issue where my hairstyle's on the cover. And to know that it's in a museum.
The African American Museum, too. It's newly built. It's not even old.
All museums for Black people? And my hairstyle is, like, cemented?
They built that museum when I was living over there.
Are you serious?
They did, yeah. So
wow,
that's why I'm like mind blown. I'm like, what in the world? This girl is like, okay, yeah,
grateful. Yeah,
yes. Like, how do you feel? Like, how did that even happen?
I don't know.
It just, girl, wait a minute.
Like, I'm sick of this. You need to know something.
You didn't even. So how did you find out? How did you find out?
Whether some people in the industry that either had seen it, like it wasn't like they reached out or anything like that, because it's Essence magazine.
That's right.
I just so happened to have my hairstyle on the cover, and so through the grapevine, I guess I would say, I can't even remember like how I knew. I just was like, you got to be kidding me. I see, and then somebody actually went, took a picture of it, and I was like, I gotta go.
I'm just lost for words. I don't get it. I'm like,
I know you probably like, Essence, you are so lackadaisical. You just like,
it is, girl. When I tell
so
you,
nonchalant. You just like, oh yeah, then that.
I'm like, all of this was intentional. Like, none of this was intentional, and I can't get over that because I'm like, dang, hair wanted you. Like, it was like, it grabbed you, and it had you in a headlock.
Yeah, you ain't going nowhere.
You ain't going nowhere, and I want you to stay on this journey. I just love that, and I don't know how it would feel like somebody tell me, your work is in the African American, and I didn't know. I'm thinking like somebody reached out and was like, you have to know about this young lady, and she is making these great moves, and she deserves to have her work featured in the museum. And you like, no, people just told me like your work. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like, how many important people have walked in that museum, and you are a piece of that history. And like that, I don't even know. Like, girl, I don't have the words. So being included in a museum solidified your influence, not just in the beauty industry, but as part of the cultural legacy of African-American hair artistry. How did that recognition impact your journey, and how I'm getting emotional because I am. Oh my goodness. Girl, you doing a lot. It's like, wow. You need to see this, like what you're doing for us. I can't even get myself under control. We might have to cut some of this, but you need to see like what you're doing for us internally, and it's a lot, because you don't know individual story, what they go through in order to do what they're doing. And so like you're paving the way for a lot of us. Wow. And you need to know that.
Thank you.
And I know my question got all thrown off because I'm getting all emotional and stuff.
Good. You're good.
But you just need to know that, like for the ones who like really believe in this, who really love it, the people that don't take it serious, they look at us like, oh, we're just having fun. They don't know what we go through in order to, they just see the practical side. Yeah. So for you to just do what you're doing, like it's just a great movement, So yeah, I just gotta let you know that. But I was just saying, like, how did that recognition impact your journey and how you see your work today? Like seeing it then and then today, how did it impact your journey along the way after that?
If I'm honest, I think that, I look at, what I've been able to accomplish, and I'm beyond super grateful. Mm-hmm. I think because of not who I am, but even just the things that I've had to walk through in terms of like healing and those things. Uh-huh. I've had to learn how to be present and to actually see it and to actually celebrate it.
Right.
As opposed to just zooming through it or just like on to the next. Because I
Right.
have very much been that person. It's like, okay, on to the next, on to the next. And so it took for me to get further on in my journey to sit with the things that I have walked through,
Yeah.
you know, the ups and the downs, the good and the bad. And I'm grateful because honestly, I just see myself as a vessel. I'm just being
Yes.
used.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
For
It's,
sure.
it's like a surrogate. You're carrying something that you have to deliver.
Yeah.
I didn't choose it. It chose, you know what I mean? Like it literally chose
yeah.
me. And so honestly, I just give all honor to God because like I didn't write this story.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
I'm just acting. You know what I'm saying?
cut action. Like, and that's what make it even more unique, you know, because, and I think that's why I am so moved, because you didn't intentionally do anything. It was literally God's work, and that's what's making me so emotional, like to be witnessing and talking to somebody that God did use as a vessel in order to pave the way for Black natural hairstylists.
Yeah.
And that's why I am so emotional, because I'm not thinking any of this is done in that way.
Yeah.
I was like, she is practical and logical, as you know.
I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like my business partner, she's that person. She lives by schedule. She's organized. I'm like, girl, I don't know how to be that person.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I feel like a lot of us are like that. When the more entrepreneurs I interview, I'm learning like, oh, dang, that's what we all have in common. And we have to have that person, you know, that can step in and help us with those things to keep us on track and being more logical, analytical, and all those things. Yes. All righty. So your no, that's not the question I want to ask you. I'm sorry.
You good?
We want to talk about your academy. You founded Rare Essence Academy in 2013. What inspired you to transition into education?
Again, it's one of those stories.
Really?
I did not want to teach. I did not want to teach, not because I didn't want to share my secrets. I didn't think I had it in me.
Because that's a skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, just because you do hair well does not mean that you can convey and translate how you think to get somebody else's hands to do it. And so my hairstyle blowing up brought a lot of recognition for the people who knew who did it, whether they got the Essence magazine. So my salon is blowing up. People are calling from all over the nation because everybody's requesting this hairstyle and they want to know how do I recreate this?
Yes.
And so I'm starting to recognize there's this demand for people to learn because I'm a type of hairstylist. I can see a hairstyle and I can deconstruct it just by looking at it.
Right.
Whereas other people may not have that skill set, right?
Yep.
And so I'm just like, in my mind, it's easy. Like, if you're a hairstylist, you should know how to deconstruct it.
Right.
I'm not realizing that's just a certain skill set. So as I'm getting these calls, now I already told you, my father told me I was going to have a school before I ever had a salon.
He did, yeah.
So I thought he was crazy, if I'm honest. But now that this is like, it's pulling me and I'm fighting it with all I have because I'm afraid that if people come and they spend their money to take this class, more than likely they done flew out here, they got to get a hotel, they got to get a car, and all this level of investment, what if they don't get it?
Oh.
What if I can't give it or they can't receive it?
Right.
I was so fearful. And so all of this really is, again, it's vessel work. It's what you were called to do. And so one morning I woke up and I literally was having this conversation with God, and I literally had to say yes.
Yeah.
And so with me saying yes, that same day I go to the salon. And there's a lady getting her hair done by another stylist in the salon, and she was like, God kept me up all night about you. And she was like, she wrote all that stuff down. She was like, you're going to be traveling. You're going to be teaching. You're going to be, and I'm like, girl, were you at my house this morning? Because literally she's confirming what I've just said yes to.
Wow.
And so from that point, I knew like, okay, I have to take these steps. And so I just started promoting. I teach classes, and at the time I had 2 locations, and I was going to turn one of the locations into a school.
Yes.
But I end up not going that route because I started to promote it on Instagram. This is 2013, 2014.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now people are asking from all over, how can I learn? And that's when I end up going online.
Oh, doing the virtual learning. So you did that back then in 2013, virtual online classes?
Not at that point. We didn't do virtual until 15.
Okay, gotcha.
15, 16.
Okay, yeah, because that makes it a lot more convenient for the people who can't even afford the travel, you know?
Yeah.
And virtual learning, it has helped me a lot, too, in my skill set, you know, because it was hard trying to, you know, continue your education when these people who are doing these amazing, you know, styles or whatever they are educating on, it's really hard to get to these people, you know?
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the virtual online aspect and, you know, people like you who are educators in the industry that are giving back to like share this a way where it can be convenient for people who just cannot, you know, afford to travel, but still be committed and dedicated to learning that skill set, you know? So I'm so happy this virtual thing is becoming a thing.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think the other part of that, other than me being called to do it, my personal why is that we don't have like a nationwide standard for natural hair stylings and skills and techniques and all that. And what I mean by that is like we don't have schools in every city, every state to where there's this standard that people can go and learn this stuff. And there's sometimes like this idea like, oh, okay, you Black, you know how to do hair. And it's like, not everybody do. And everybody that has a passion doesn't necessarily know how to do it, but they want to learn. Right. And so the way that I've been designed, like I just know how to help people, their mind to get it. So it translates from their mind to their fingers, because a lot of times when it comes to teaching somebody how to braid or how to twist or how to be creative within their skill set, it's a lot of mental blocks. Yes. It's more mental than it is mechanical.
That's right.
And so what we find is that we got to speak to their heart and their mind before we can get it into their hands. And so it's a lot of negative self-talk. I can't do it, or, you know, these excuses, my fingers are too fat, or just crazy things that we can allow to be in our mind that stop us from really achieving or having those results that we want.
Yeah. Did you think that you were going to have to go deep within the mind when you first started? You thought this was just going to be all practical?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I definitely thought it was going to be all practical until we started traveling, and because we only had 2 days to get it, right? We were going and we're only with these people for 2 days, and they paid their money. They have to get it. And as we're in it, we're like, oh, this is so much deeper than hair. This is
deeper than that. Yeah.
This is so much deeper than hair. And we wish we had more time with them, but more so on the personal development side of things, because there's a statement that I use, and I've coined: your business can only grow to the extent that you do as a person.
That's right.
And so if we work on what we're doing in our mind and in our heart, it's going to naturally translate into what we do in our businesses.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. For sure. Are there any upcoming projects or initiatives you're excited about that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm transitioning in my career, and just my own personal, like, desires and things I want to do. And my greatest thing is to help people with their mindset and believing in themselves. Like, God has just given me this gift to see people and to see what they carry and to help them develop that. And so that's what I'm doing more on the personal side, coaching and speaking.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're looking to officially open the school. We just graduated a class last night.
Congratulations. That's amazing. I love that.
Okay. Yeah, so we officially did our 12-week program where we go over braiding, locking, twisting, hair care, hair science, the whole
hair
gamut.
Science.
All of it. All of it. Yeah. Textbooks, workbooks, practical work, touching heads. And so that was just a great program. And we had people come from different cities, literally pause their life to come and learn. And so
for the 12 weeks.
For 12 weeks.
They are so committed.
Yeah.
That's because I'm sometimes I get a little worried about the future of the beauty industry. You know, because social media can, like, you know, the things that are out there, and some of the clients with their feedback, and they're talking about the unprofessionalism that they're experiencing in the industry. And I'm worried. What's going to happen to us? So to know that some people are so committed to this art, and they actually came here and stayed and took a lot of time out of their schedule in order to become graduates of your academy. That let me know the future is gonna be okay. We got a few we gotta clean up, but the future of the industry is in good hands to be that committed, you know?
Yeah. We gotta pour it out.
We sure do. What advice would you give to aspiring natural hairstylists who want to follow a similar path to yours?
Yeah. I believe, one, being patient with your process, because I think one of the greatest things that when they hear my story, they see the milestones, but they don't see the space in between. Right? And so while I touched hair at 12, I didn't open the salon until 25. And then I didn't get into a magazine until 31. And so sometimes we want to be somewhere that we're not necessarily, I'm not going to say qualified, but just prepared to be.
Right.
And I think that with the advent of social media, it causes us to compare and to see all of these things that other people are doing. Oh, I should have a product line already, or I should have, and this is like, slow down. Like, literally it's almost best to cut everything off and to literally find out what the pace is for your race and allow those things to happen. I think that if I would have had social media, I could have been tempted, you know what I mean, to go and do something else or to expedite a process that wasn't necessary. But when you're in your process in terms of the rhythm of it, it will come when it needs to come. And you'll be like, I don't even know how this happened. It just happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. We were actually talking about that last night, like the negative impacts that social media can put on us, because we're thinking, because like you said, comparing, we are supposed to already be there too. Yeah. And everyone's journey is so unique. Everyone's situation is just so unique. But social media will have this unintentional just influence on you to make you feel like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not showing up enough. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm not posting enough.
Yeah.
You know, if I was posting enough, then I would have that right now. You know, so I'm glad you actually dropped that gem and that nugget in there. So because it keeps coming up in the podcast for this season when I'm interviewing entrepreneurs, they keep saying this, and I want people to keep hearing this so they can know it's not you. It's just probably not your time.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. So nothing happens overnight. I think the other thing too is that as stylists, we're natural creatives. Yeah. And with us being natural creatives, there can be so many things vying for our attention. And so it's hard to lock in.
Yes.
And one of the things that I feel like has been a blessing to me is that I stayed in the lane. I focused and I did not allow my attention to be diverted because I would not have had the traction that I've had. It's pick it and ride it, right? And not just ride it, but ride it intentionally. Like, give it all that it requires. Master this thing. Yeah. And so when it comes to us being creators and we have a lot of other things that we could do, like I like writing poetry. I like playing my bass. I like, rapping.
You're an artist.
Are those things paying me? You know what I mean? And if they can, but I have to pick one. And I chose hair. And I believe that as we're faithful over the first thing, there will be time and room for an expression of another thing as we move forward. So I was a hairstylist first. Then I became a salon owner. And then and the salon ownership is leadership.
So then you became a leader too.
So it's leader. And then I was able to unlock the gift of teaching. I didn't know I could teach. But all of these things began to have an expression because I was faithful over the first thing.
You did what a lot of us have a hard time doing, is staying focused, one thing at a time. Because I feel like a lot of artists, we have like a multitude of talents and we want to do them all. Yeah. But it's really hard to focus on everything because it's not going to grow at the rate that it could. It cannot elevate when your attention is just here and then here and then here. And you'll experience burnout too, you know?
For sure. Then you mad at everything.
You're like, I don't want to do none of this no more. Like, I'm over it. I quit, and even for myself, I had to learn that later in life, like, you have to pick one thing. Yeah. And nurture that, grow it. And if that one thing is still calling you, once you've mastered this, move on. But you cannot elevate, you cannot grow, and you can't even become the expert.
Come on.
Until you focus on this one thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is people hear multiple streams.
multiple streams of income. Oh my, you need multiple streams of income. If you want to be rich, you need multiple streams of income. That is true. Why didn't I think of that?
That's the problem. So we hear that, but then we hear master and focus, and it's like, okay, how do I do both?
Yeah.
No, multiple streams come as you master.
That's right.
Master the one thing, and then from that, it's like, okay, now you can have a salon. Now you can have products. Now you can have, but you got to be first good at doing hair if that's what you want to do.
That's right.
Or if you want to do a product line, do a product line.
Yeah. But master that first.
It.
Then you get that. You got the rhythm and the groove of how that flow and go. Now you tap into this other one, and eventually you're going to have those multiple streams of income. But the way social media promote, it's like you got to do it all at the same time.
You ain't got it all. If you got 100%, what you going to do, 30, 30, 30? And none of them, like you said, none of them are going to be able to advance.
They're not going to grow.
Yeah, so.
Girl. If you could tell your younger self one thing at the start of this journey, what would it be? Your younger self back then, 12-year-old Essence braiding her brother's hair. And you see yourself today, like, what would it be?
I'm proud of you.
Yes, for sure.
I think I'm proud of you says you're enough.
Yes.
It says you don't have to look outside of yourself, so to speak, and be with what somebody else wants you to be, or literally find out what feels like literally aligned with you and ride that lane. And I think, it's a potential that I could have done more or got somewhere faster if I wasn't like, oh, let me go and do this thing, or oh, let me do that thing. And so you got this and you're enough. And literally knowing like what really aligns.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love how you put those two together. Like, I'm proud of you saying I am enough. I don't know if people look at I'm proud of you in that way. That those words, as limited, as small as they are, that's a lot. It's a big force to like put those two and align them together, because that's literally what it is. So for you to, girl, your mind is just, I love it. I love how you also have recognized that you have that gift as well, and you are, exchanging that with the women that you are meeting, so that they can, hear those things, so that they can be on their healing journey, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
You have to be healed, especially when you're working with hair.
Yeah.
You having conversations, translating, things back and forth, depending on whatever they're going through, whatever you are experiencing, we do help in that way, even though we don't get paid to be, therapists, but we do help them out in so many ways outside of exterior. It's interior as well.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it comes from interior, because after a while, these people start booking you. They're not even booking hair no more.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they're booking
without a
you.
doubt.
For sure. How can our listeners connect with you, learn more about your academy, or book services?
Yeah, well, we are Rare Essence Academy on every platform, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and then my personal brand is Essence China.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Well, this has been one of the most moving interviews I've ever done. I've never got emotional. If anything, we like laughing in those ways. So this was one of the most moving, one of the most powerful, even inspirational interviews I've ever done. I'm extremely, again, honored to have you on the show. And I thank you for carving some time out to share with us, because I know you're busy. And this was not even really planned. Look, here we go again. This was not planned.
But it worked out. It always works out.
Yeah, so I just appreciate, you blessing us with your presence on the show.
Without a doubt. Can I add one more thing?
Girl, whatever you want to add.
You don't even have to put this in the podcast, but I just want to share this. So though I named Rare Essence back when my lawyer asked me to incorporate 20 years ago.
Yes.
I didn't get the acronym. I didn't know the understanding of RARE until about 6 years ago, and I just wanted to share that. And so
please.
The R stands for getting a revelation. And that revelation is, who am I? Right? We have to know who we are to have an idea of how we're supposed to navigate this world, right?
Right.
But the only way we get a revelation of who we are is to get a revelation of who God is, who sent us here. And so there has to be a seek in order to find out who you are. And then A stands for having an authentic assignment. When we understand that we're not just here by happenstance. We have an assignment. We have work to do.
That's right.
And not only, it's not just a frivolous work. It's a work that has authenticity connected to it. You have to do it in the way that he's called you to do it. That's why
ordering those footsteps, right?
Listen, you can have a hairstylist next door or in the suite next door or in a salon up the street. What attracts them to you? It is your rareness. It is your uniqueness. It's your authenticity.
Right.
And so sometimes we find ourselves trying to conform or, it looks like it worked for them, so I'm going to try to be that. No, find out what makes you quirky.
That's
what
right.
makes you, that it factor. And that's the thing that literally is going to hyper attract. And a lot of times we find ourselves watering ourselves down and we're not concentrated enough, whether it's focused or full of the essence of who we've been created to be.
Absolutely.
And so there has to be an authenticity that we deliver with. And the second R is for readiness. Readiness speaks to preparation. Just because Michael Jordan could play ball did not get him to where he's at today. He had to practice. He had to equip himself. And so you can be naturally gifted as a hairstylist or whatever the field that you're in.
Yes.
You could be naturally that, but don't be lazy with it. Prepare yourself. But preparation also speaks to, what are you allowing to come into your heart? What are you allowing to come into your mind? Because these things can be empowering or disempowering. Our readiness has to do with taking inventory of our environment. Who's speaking into our lives, right? And so there's an intentionality that we have to have if we're going to stand out as rare. The reality is that we're all rare.
That's right.
But not all of us are aware. Right?
Ooh! Baby, we having church. What you say? It's so true, though. It's so, oh my gosh. Come on. I want to, come on.
No, it's real. We are all rare, but we're not all aware. And the awareness is that you are enough. You just have to find out what that is that makes you you. And that is literally your superpower.
Yes.
Right? So get ready. And the last letter, E, stands for serve with excellence. Our community deserves excellence.
Absolutely.
But we can only give people that which we're willing to give ourselves. If your salon has a certain upkeep, more than likely your home has the same level of upkeep. It's the same mind. It's the same person. So if we can start analyzing who we are in our own personal lives and we work on being excellent there, we'll be able to serve with excellence effortlessly because it is who we are. We deserve excellence and we can serve excellence.
That's right.
So just being aware that we're rare.
Girl, I love that. When did you learn that whenever you came up with your acronyms and the meaning behind your acronyms, you learned that then, or this is as your journey was just unfolding?
It was a divine download. I think that
oh my gosh.
I feel like God chose all these things and then he gives me the knowledge of it after the fact. I didn't say, let me figure out what rare is going to be. It literally, I was driving one day and it came to me what it was. And then it was further developed as I started to understand it.
Gotcha.
Right? And so yeah, but this is not just for hair. This is just in life in general. And when we get off, I'll do a poem for you. I'm a poet, so I'll do a poem.
Why you want to do it on the mic? Girl, give us some poetry.
Okay.
Come on, let's no, not when we get off. I want my listeners need to hear this. Yeah, no. Come on, yeah.
Hopefully I know it by heart. Let me just pull it up just in case I miss a line or two.
Okay, but yeah, we want it all, so pull it up.
This is my philosophy for life. So let me pull up my notes really quick.
Okay.
And it's
because this need to be recorded.
She's like, we need this,
like,
girl. No. Let me see. I'm trying to pull it up by a keyword.
Okay.
Why is this? See, this ain't nothing but the enemy.
Yep, because you done gave a testimony here. You done moved somebody. He mad, girl. Like, how dare she come in here and do that?
We know your God told you different. that you were created for greatness. But we got plans for you too. So forget what you heard and follow this herd. Go to school, get in debt, get a job, pay us back with your life, your dignity, and respect. Now sit down with the little life you have left, because we no longer have need of you. Oh, and them dreams you had, yeah, you can forget them too. Replace them with an addiction for material and digital things that bind you to our system, because if we ever allow you to think for yourself, you'll no longer be blind agents producing our wealth while we rob you of health, disconnecting you from self, further solidifying you will never awaken to the very purpose of your existence. Yeah, we know your God told you different, that you were rare, powerful, and created for greatness. But greatness don't sit well in our faces, nor in our matrix. We're the only ones that can get the praises. So tone down your ingenuity, your spirituality, and your creativity. Matter of fact, we demand that you cancel your God energy. We need you seeking validation to confirm your validity. Bowed heads, operating in comparison, competition, insecurity, false humility, capitalizing off your tendency to want to fit in. It's deception at its finest. You can't even win when we've tricked you to look outside the bag for the bag, when truth is, Kenitra, you are the bag. Exploiting human capital so easy when there's no ID on the toe tag. Who are you? Well, you are who we tell you to be when you're ignorant of your identity. See, Kenitra, what they didn't tell us is we were created for greatness. Mm-hmm. And the moment we realize our purpose, we'll realize we don't need their permission to be great, just a submission to our source. A redirection of our course will bring about our metamorph. It is something that this generation desperately needs. Because your transformation is not just about you, it's about all those who will succeed by following in your footsteps to finally get free. So reclaim your essence. Remember, you are marked for greatness. Never let them finesse you into thinking anything different.
Oh.
It's about transformation.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
It was beautiful. Because that's how it is. You know, and until you tap into that, you're never. And I always say, you know, like even to my kids, I always tell them, like, you are here for a reason. And to not figure out what that reason is, I almost feel like it's a slap in God's face for you to just coast through life and not figure it out.
Yeah.
For you to not really walk in your purpose. I feel it's almost kind of disrespectful because we are rare.
Yeah.
And like when you were saying that, I'm like, yes. I could never formulate those words because I can't write poetry, but that's in my subconscious, you know, just my thoughts, you know, and just having to learn my own journey, you know, growing up as a child, conforming, you know, or feeling silly for doing something that was not quote unquote normal to them, you know, and it was just a characteristic or whatever. But learning like, God, that was that one thing that could have helped me do this and this and that and that. And I didn't feel comfortable in that moment. But now that I do, you know, I'm like, I'm unlocking so much now and figuring so much out. Ooh, this was I'm so glad we didn't record twice in one day. Because I was trying to do you and Omar. No, I wouldn't have been ready for him. Because now I got to go sit and I got to, you know, really, I can't wait to watch this over again. Aww. Yeah. This is like the best interview ever.
Thank you.
Yeah. I never thought I would get him. I was like, if anything, the guests will get emotional. I'll never get emotional. Oh, girl, I don't even know how to thank you for coming on the show. I don't even know what to do. I'm just filled with so much gratitude that you did this, and I cannot wait to just share this with my people in my industry, my listeners, my family. Like I have a niece that's going to cosmetology school. I'm like, I cannot wait for her to hear this because it's gonna be such a good foundation for her journey to like listen to this.
Yeah,
you know. So
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm super grateful.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Essence Farmer. I have to say, I didn't mean to get emotional, but your story of being a vessel for God and allowing yourself to be used in such an extraordinary way truly moved me. Your journey is so inspiring, and I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the beauty of your faith and purpose. To everyone listening, I hope you found as much inspiration in this conversation as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps. And of course, share this episode with someone who could use a little inspiration today. Thank you again, Essence, for your time and your wisdom and your light. Until next time, take care, be kind to yourself, and y'all keep shining.